Did you know that according to the recent research, 10 to 15% of health workers do substance use? Well, before we get there, welcome back to my channel. This is Paige, and today we're here to talk about substance use, or what most of you refer to as drug abuse. To start off, there's certain things I would love to clarify. There's certain words that we no longer use when you're addressing things like this. For example, drug abuse, which we have substituted for substance use. Now, we no longer use these words because we are trying to avoid stigma. Also, the complexity with which these words come. When you say drug abuse, it looks like such a big thing, maybe someone can't get out of, like it has that something to it. When you say substance use, it's an easier way to bring it in. The second word is drug addiction. Now, I would rather prefer you to use the word drug dependency instead of drug addiction. Dependency means the same thing. It means someone cannot do without something. They literally depend on it to do anything. Now, that being clear, that being said, I'm going to my fact number 2. Did you know that 10 to 15% of health workers do substance use? Now, here's the problem. These drugs or substances are actually beneficial only if they're prescribed by the doctor. The problem is that most health workers know the benefits of these drugs, so they decide to self-prescribe because they know their benefits. I'll give you an example. Marijuana. We use medical marijuana for a variety of reasons in the hospital, but because we know the effects of marijuana, most of the people decide to prescribe it for themselves in the disguise of I'm trying to manage this, I'm trying to treat this, when actually they are taking more than they need. Reach to a time where they can't do without it. That's what we can actually call dependency. And at a certain point in time, some of them get intoxicated with it. And because the health worker is actually very hard to advise them, it could be a little easier to talk to any other patient or any other person to stop using drugs. Now, if you have a friend, a health worker that is doing substance use, if you can help, please do. And if you've not yet started, please do not start. Thirdly, is that the percentage of men using substances is higher than the percentage of women or ladies that are using substances. And this is for a variety of reasons, some for which I'm going to mention here. Number 1, some men have decided to use substances, for example, alcohol, it can be marijuana, cocaine, to get over their problems. Why? The society has made it look like men are strong people. They should be able to look after themselves, deal with all these situations that they're going through. And it usually happens that when they get emotional problems, they either keep them to themselves, where they keep piling. They get one on top of the other, one on top of the other. And because they assume they are really, really strong, or maybe they're actually strong, but life is long and things that you go through are very many. Now, when the problems accumulate, they find refuge in taking these substances because, first of all, they help them forget the problems. For the meantime, though, it's not for the long term, which is different for most women. Most ladies, at the slightest inconvenience, they open up to people and seek help. But one message or one thing I'm going to forever say is, gentlemen, please seek help. And when I say seek help, the first way is opening up and being able to open up. I would love for you to only do it with people that you are comfortable with. Opening up is something really vulnerable, and you putting your emotions out there. I'd love for you to be people that you are comfortable opening up to. Do not let your girlfriends or your women pressure you into opening up to them. If you do not feel safe, do not do it, because when you open up to the wrong person, the consequences of that can even be worse than the problem itself. So when you decide to open up to the right people, the people you feel safe in. Generally, find healthier ways to cope. Do not try to cope by taking alcohol. Don't join groups and start taking marijuana. It looks like a cool thing to do for the meantime, but the long-term effects are very detrimental. If you've not yet started, please, I beg you, do not start. There is no longer a cool that is attached to doing substance use if you know the effects it does to people. Remember when I said if you've not yet started, do not start? Here's my reason. Most of the people that are practicing substance use lack insight. Now that's a medical term. Lay language, you can say they do not know that they're actually sick. And that's not just it. The worst problem is that by the time they bring them to hospital, either it's by a parent or by people at school, before someone is actually intoxicated or they're suffering with symptoms of withdrawal or dependency, it usually doesn't look like a problem. To them, they're enjoying the effects effects, the positive effects of using these drugs. Now, by the time they bring them on board, either they are already psychotic or something I can call mad in layman language due to substance use, or they are anxious due to substance use, or they are depressed, something we can go into mood disorders, which I don't want to go there right now, or they already have social impairment, occupational impairments, they have already lost their jobs and now it's miserable in case they're parents, so they have people that depend on them. Like, the situation is already bad, like to the extreme of what it can go to. That's why they bring these people to hospital, because by then it's the people that are close to them that are bringing them to hospital. But before that, someone that is doing substance use, it's really hard to let them know that I think you need help, maybe you can go to hospital, maybe go to rehab. It's really hard, and by that time the situation is usually worse. And the problem is here, most people actually don't know about these things, because when you're managing them or when you're treating them, these are people that we maybe take to rehabilitation center, we isolate them from the general public. They are usually kept in a certain section, or even their family members usually do not want to talk about them, because as well they're trying to bring their privacy. Awareness is very less. So if you've not yet started, please do not be pressured by your friends or by the people that you think it's a cool thing to do. It is no longer a cool thing to do. We have seen the effects it does on people, so please. And lastly, something you didn't know is that some people do not do substance use or drug abuse intentionally. That's one of the reasons why we decided to wipe out the word drug abuse, because people do not just wake up one day and they're like, I want to abuse drugs today, or I want to get intoxicated, or suffer with withdrawal, or have drug dependency. It usually starts as, for our generation, it usually starts as a cool thing. I want to be like my cool friends. So I've seen my friends doing it, I also want to do it. That's how it usually starts. So it's day 1, day 2, day 3, you're adding in a little bit more quantity. Day 3, you want to be like the rest, like the effect is not being the same. You're increasing the amounts, the time is also going. You eventually cannot deal without it, and then you want to hang out with these friends that you do the same thing with. It becomes part of you eventually. Now, secondly, that some people are just trying it out. Like, you see some people doing something, you're like, okay, I would love to know what exactly do people find beneficial in that, or what exactly are they doing, or how does it feel? So some people start with it as just an adventure, and like I said, most of these drugs have a positive effect, means they have something good with them only if they are prescribed by a health worker. Now, when they get these effects, they want to go on, they want more and more. Have you ever worked for money? The more money you get, the more money you want. Like, the want does not stop because you have more money. Similarly with drugs, the more you take, the more you will want. Now you start increasing quantities, the time goes by, eventually you have lung cancer, eventually your kidneys are suffering with those effects. You understand? So when you see people suffering with the effects of substance use, have some empathy for them, extend some grace to them, because it's like they wanted it to go this way. You don't know how they started. Maybe they were going through something that maybe it was like a mental illness, because some people actually take those drugs to curb down their mental illness because they don't want to deal with those issues mentally. Some people have PTSD, and the only way they can forget those problems is by taking certain drugs. So when people are suffering with these effects, extend some grace, talk to them politely. They can seek help, but you need to find the best ways to talk to these people. And one of the things that are really hard about managing substance use is that usually we have to wait for these individuals to come out and be like, hey, I think I need help. The biggest you can do is spread awareness. Let these people know what the effects are, how bad it can go, how worse it can get, but it's up to them to actually come out until the situation has become really bad. Like I said, people have gone now into the mental illness side of it that is induced by substance use, and now they're brought to hospital by the parents, by the friends, the authorities at school, because also have very young children that also are having the effects of substance use. Otherwise, there is so much I can say about substance use, but for this video I beg for us to stop here, but I'm going to have more information coming up. So for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to share, comment, subscribe. Otherwise, I hope you learned something from this video. Have a lovely time, and bye.